Well, did the big Facebook, TikTok, Instagram outage affect you today? It didn't affect us here. The only thing I use Facebook for, honestly, is I get on there and I look at Facebook Marketplace and look for stuff for sale. That's about it. I might post a short or something I made from YouTube on it to get people to watch it, but not really on it that much. I know a lot of people that are. A lot of people, that's their daily thing, right? They're just glued to that phone, just staring at it. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about something. We hear it all the time. When SHTF happens, I'm going to bug out to the mountains, right? I'm going to go out into the wilderness and just live off the land. My question is, are you capable of doing it? We're not talking about going for a camping trip for a weekend or a week, right, that you may do yearly. We're talking about you bugging out and having to live out in the wild for a while. Number one, how much weight can you carry? Number two, how much preps can you carry with you? If you haven't been walking with a lot of weight on your back and your packs, it's going to be very, very hard. I mean, I've seen people just whitetail hunting, right, that carries a simple backpack with a few things in it. They can't hardly do it on a 2 mile hike, right, into the woods. They get tired, their pack gets heavy, and if you get an animal, you got to get that animal out, right? Now's the time to start practicing this. If that is your goal, that is what you're going to do when SHTF happens, you're going to get out and you're going to go to the woods and live, you need to start practicing that now. You need to start practicing carrying weight in your packs. You need to, number one, if you already got your bug out location picked out in the wilderness, I hope you've already got your preps there. You know, you have some there, you got them buried and things like that. Because if you're bugging out and think you're just going to go out there and drink water out of the creek and harvest animals and you're just going to live like, you know, Grizzly Adams style, it's not like that. I mean, you can hunt on whole deer season and not even see a deer, right? So there's a lot more to it than just in your mind. You know, most people think they can do it. It gets hard. While I was at deer camp, you know, during deer season, I was there by myself a lot and I enjoyed it. But you know, the number one prep that is super hard to store? Water. Water. Let's say you're catching your rainwater, right? You're out in the woods, you're catching rainwater. Well, what if that rainwater becomes polluted, right? I've told you I used the Sawyer mini filter. You know, it doesn't take a lot, everything out. It doesn't take a lot of the stuff out, you know, but for me, it works for my area. You may need a different type of filter for your area. But if the water gets contaminated, we're all screwed, right? So, I mean, they do make the big Berkey filters. I don't personally own one because I'm not going to pay that much for a Berkey filter. To me, it's ridiculous. And plus, what was it last year? Everybody started complaining that the Berkey wasn't actually what they said it was. It wasn't filtering, blah, 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 right? But it's still being sold. So right now is the time to get out and start practicing your survival skills. You need to start practicing hiking with packs on your back. You need to practice on how quickly can you get there. You know, your bug out location, if it's the wilderness is not your friend. It's not. I mean, you could go out there and camp, right? And you have a great time. You can stay there a week and just enjoy it. But if it's a full time you're having to live in the woods, it gets hard. It really does, especially like collecting firewood, like I said, water, collecting game to eat, catching fish, however you're going to do it. And do you have enough supplies to get you through until you're able to start doing that? A lot of people may know about that TV show Alone. A lot of people don't realize they're actually allowed to carry so many pounds of food with them, right? So, I mean, you got to think about stuff like that. How much weight can I carry? What is my water filtration going to be like? Can I start a fire? Because what if it's raining? Do you have stuff to start a fire with during wet conditions? You need to start practicing all them skills now while SHTF is not going on. The more you practice, the more it becomes learned behavior and motor memory skills and things like that. That way, when it does happen, you're not out there trying to rub two sticks together, not knowing what you're doing, trying to start a fire, right? You need to practice that now. Myself, I carry a fire kit in my packs anytime I go out, and all I've got a short. I take cotton balls and I rub Vaseline in it, and I stick it inside of a drinking straw and melt the ends. That's what I do. That's my fire starter. I carry just a cheap, honestly, I think it's a Harbor Freight fire starter. It's magnesium and it's got a striker on one side. That's what I carry, and it works wet. Maybe you need to look into something like that. There is a short on here from way back, or maybe it's a full video. I'm not sure. I'll link it if I can find it in my history on YouTube, and y'all can watch it, how I do my fire starters. But now it's time to start practicing this stuff. Not when it gets bad, because when it gets bad, you need to already know this. You need to already know where's your water sources at when you're out in the woods. What game lives in the area? What do I need to harvest this game? You got to think about it too. And if you're out in the wilderness and it's full-blown SHTF, you might not want to be out there popping rounds off shooting wild game, right? So you may need to get into bow hunting, crossbows, a compound bow, traditional bow. I will say about the compounds and crossbow hunting, they can break. The strings can and will break. Maybe a more traditional bow would work better, something like that. But now's the time to practice all these skills, not when it happens. That way, when you have to go, you're ready to go. You know where everything is in your little area that you're going to. You know, I hope you already have stuff buried, like food and supplies and things, at your location you're wanting to go to. And if you haven't, go out in the next couple weeks, months here. The weather's going to start getting better. Go out and scout your area to where you think you're going to go bug out at, and see if it's feasible to bug out to that location. Do you have water? Do you have wild game? Do you have areas to build shelter? Do you have stuff to build fires with? Because fire is very important when you're out in the woods. It is. It keeps you warm. It's a way to cook. And you also need to practice building fires where you dig a hole in the ground so your flames ain't, 10 feet high and everybody within 2 miles can see it. You can build a hole, dig a hole in the ground, build a little tunnel to it, and it'll keep your fire down low so it's not as easily visible. So let me know your thoughts on this. Are you going to bug out into the wilderness and, are you going to Rambo it, just go out there and just make do with what you got? Are you going to go ahead and have a plan set in motion? You already got stuff there, which I hope you do. And how many people do you think, honestly, nowadays could go from the way we live now and go out into the wilderness and survive? I don't think many can. Number one, we have too many people nowadays. The number one issue when you're out in the woods is you're going to get lonely. You've got to be able to be by yourself. You've got to be good with yourself before you can go do this, because your mind's going to start bugging you. You're going to start missing this. You're going to start missing that. You got to get your mind right. The number one prep that any prepper has is their mind. You've got to have your mind right when you have to go do this kind of stuff. But let me know your thoughts on this. Kind of rambling in this video. Not really a long video today. But let me know your thoughts on it. Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of surroundings at all times. Protect yourself and your family at all times. At that moment, you're the only person who can do it. Stay safe. Keep prepping. And let me know how many people you think could actually survive if they were just uprooted right now and thrown out into the wilderness.